Sorry, Kirsten.
Oh,
Could you start again? Sorry.
sorry. Yeah, my name's Kirsten. I'm doing the certificate for in youth work.
Right.
Is that all we needed?
Yeah, it
Yep.
is. And I don't need ID because we're doing it real time. Um,
Yep.
so I'm Vicky Hanna, and I'm going to be the assessor in real time here. We're doing CHCCOM002. This is a communication unit. So, Katie.
Yep, I'm Katie North. I'm doing the Cert 4 in youth work as well. Nick and I have already had a conversation in the other Google Meet, I think it was.
The other
Oh,
So we've
platform,
okay.
gotten
yeah.
to know each other.
Oh, brilliant. That's
Yeah.
great. And Nick, just introduce yourself.
My name's Nick Kearse. I'm doing the Cert 4 mental health counselling.
Right. Fabulous.
Yes.
Right. Well, let's go. So because we have a couple of apologies for the meeting with staff, we have two people here. The minutes will be important. I am happy to play the role of Bella. If you would like me to play the role of Bella, we do need a moniker. And we may need a Raymond, and Dennis is pretty chilled. So we could say Dennis is our apology for the meeting today. Will we improvise and go that way?
Let's do that.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. Who would like to be our first Justin?
I can be Justin
You
first off.
start. Happy to start, Nick. That's great. So, Kirsten, could you please be Raymond, the in-house nurse? And
Yep.
Katie, could you be Monica, the senior counsellor? And I'll play the role of Bella for Nick. So over to you, Nick.
Okay. Appreciate everybody's attendance today. The meeting's been called sort of quite quickly to get these issues underhand. First of all, like to welcome to country, respect to past, present and emerging peoples. So the purpose of this meeting is in regard to an alleged incident between a client and a staff member. So obviously this is something that we need to address and put some processes in place to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Does anybody have any input about?
It's Bella, Nick. Thanks everybody, but I'm a little bit worried that I'm in trouble. I don't know why I'm here at the meeting today, why everyone asked me here. I'm just new and I'm a bit worried.
Okay, so it's not a punishment, it's an education. So we're looking to have some processes put in place, a bit of industry training, and make sure that everybody is educated on what's expected so that there'll be no incident going forward like this in the future. So there'll be no punishment, there's no reprimands or anything like that, so you can rest easy.
Okay, thank you very much.
So in line with First Access policies and procedures, HS2, we need to adhere to incident, injury, trauma, anywhere where somebody might feel that they've been sort of done wrong, whether it's verbal or physical. So we need to make sure that we're all across that particular policy. We need to develop and understand what constitutes abuse. So obviously we all have our different opinions. Some may see it as a bit of a joke with, lighthearted interactions. Other people might see it as abuse. So we need to be all on the same page to make sure that going forward, we don't have any issues with sort of, not to say this was a misunderstanding, but making sure that everybody's on the same page and we understand what our professional roles involve. We need to build safety, trust and respect with our clients. Otherwise, when we're interacting with them, if we don't have the trust, the respect, they're not going to be sort of forthcoming with information, which is going to make our job a lot harder. So we're basically here to listen when we're interacting with the clients. So we need them to be on board and to be have the full trust. Does anybody have any thoughts on this so far?
No, it sounds good.
Okay. So looking at what we've discussed so far, I think we need to work together to develop some strategies, look at getting some training for all staff on all levels. And that would be in regard to recognising and reporting abuse. So obviously we all have different views on what constitutes abuse. So basically we'll go with, if you see something, if you see something or hear something, say something, and then that can be, and it's not sort of a dob-in process. It's more of a, let's assess everything. And that way, the issues that raised may not constitute abuse, but it's also always good that if you do have sort of an idea that something might not be kosher in the workplace, that it should be raised. We can also implement strategies like brainstorming and open discussions. So we can implement sort of not so much formal meetings, but just get-togethers with people involved on how we might have constant improvement, and just keep our finger on the pulse in regard to the workplace. And obviously we're going to have staff members coming in, staff members going out, new clients. So the landscape's going to be constantly evolving. So we need to evolve and make sure that we've got the full scope of the environment we're in and the people that we're working with in that environment, just to make sure that, like I said previously, that this alleged incident doesn't happen again and nothing else like it happens. Were there any sort of ideas, or anybody else got some?
Yeah, Monica here. I think maybe we need to go back to our onboarding program when we have new staff, starting with first access. I think we need to maybe train them up so they have the knowledge and that they are confident in what they're doing. And if they do see anything that they sort of go, not sure about that, they know what to do. They know that they need to come and report it, even if it turns out to be nothing. It's just better to report it and be sure that the situation is fine and it's been handled correctly. What do you think about that?
100% agree. So sort of maybe even online learning, where we have sort of video education and then multiple choice selections. And that way we know that people have read and understood the content. So yeah, I agree. That's definitely should be implemented for onboarding. Do we have any other
Hopefully we
feedback
can
at
get
all?
it sorted.
Yes,
Yeah, I've got
true.
a couple questions, Justin.
Yes.
So you mentioned a few things. So you mentioned some staff training, and you also mentioned involving staff in the process and doing brainstorming and things like that. So do you have any ideas on how the organisation expects to do those couple of things?
So I think with a lot of it can be done with online training. So sort of watch a video and then select through multiple choice answers. So we're going to keep it simple, but we'll keep it sort of to the point. So we make sure that it's the content is easy to understand, but also we need to make sure that the people reading it understand the content and they're on board with how we operate as an organisation. And obviously the onboarding is initial, and then as we go through, we need to evolve. And we might have clients with different needs which need specific training as well. So it's a bit of a rolling situation, which requires sort of constant attention. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Thank you. No, that sounds really good. But as for involving the staff in the process, how do we think we're going to be doing that? Do you plan to implement some sort of anonymous surveys or in getting their ideas on the safety and culture?
Well, anonymity is probably the best way to get involvement, so that people aren't sort of identified. All ideas will be sort of looked at in the same light, no matter whether they're positive or negative. But I think the online component is very good because it stipulates that the person has understood the content, and then obviously the score at the end of it then indicates that you understand a high percentage of what we're after. And that's sort of bankable information as far as like we know for a fact that this person has answered the right 85%, for example, of the content they've got correct, so we know that they're on board with what we're doing.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that sounds good because then First Access kind of has because obviously at the end of the training, they'll get an acknowledgement or certificate saying that they've completed the training.
Exactly.
So then if these incidents do occur further on, they can't then go, oh, I didn't understand it. First Access can go, actually, this shows that you have understood it and completed the training.
Yes.
If you had any further queries, you should have come to myself or another colleague and just asked about that to get more clarification around it.
Yes.
So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. So the company's covered legally, and also there's clear guidelines as to what the staff member has read and understood, and what the company has set down as the bare minimum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I have to own that I signed the policies and procedures so I could get on the roster. I've never really worked anywhere like this before, so I know that I know that now, that I need more education and awareness. This is a different kind of an organisation. I love what I do, but look, I'm out in the field, Justin, all the time, and a lot of those things, like I don't work at a desk. I get all my bookings on my phone app. I just wondered if maybe I could get that in my app, or just a form on an incident or the steps to follow if I think someone reports that to me, so that I'm familiar with it and I can deal with it at that time and then follow up when I come back.
Yeah. So even a bullet point email to your supervisor can be perfectly fine.
Okay.
Just to document what happened, when it happened, and who was involved.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed that step.
Yeah. So it just doesn't have to be drawn out. It can just be a very sort of concise email, one paragraph, some bullet points.
Okay.
And that way it's been documented. It doesn't get left behind and can be addressed.
Yeah. I thought I was sticking up for a staff member when, the person reported it. I just thought, oh no, he's really lovely, he would never do that. But I know I'm not allowed to talk about it here, but if I hear anything, I know now that I've got to put an action behind that. I can hear it, but saying that probably made the person feel worse, I think, not believed.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's important that we say things, but there's always going to be room for people's sort of opinion or people's feelings that their opinion or their perception of the incident may differ from everybody else's. So things have to be raised, but we can do it in a manner that's sort of we can do it, but we do it delicately. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. I get it now why you've called this the Safety and Respect Committee.
Yeah, so it's about education, not prosecution.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. That's
No
encouraging.
problem. All right, I think we've basically covered all our bases. Does anybody have any input at all?
Also, I've got one more.
Yep.
Oh, no,
Yes.
you go, Bella.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Raymond. I was just wondering, when's the next meeting?
I think once we can sort of get all this information tabled and get things going, probably within the next month, I'd imagine we can.
Okay. All right, that's good. All right. Sorry, Raymond.
No,
Once we
that's
can
okay.
action the
So,
education plan. Yes.
I was just wondering, so obviously we spoke about the online training and the onboarding. Is there a plan for staying updated on our training? Like, is there a frequency that we're going to be having to renew that training to make sure that it's always actively in our heads and we're up to date on current information?
Look, we can have sort of bulletins through the office for sort of it's like prompts, like, be respectful, honesties for everybody, that type of just general prompting.
Yeah.
But I think the general or training specifically could be sort of, if we have new staff members, we could onboard them as well as have refreshers for existing staff. But I'm not sure on whether we need to have sort of regimented learning events. So I think once you've understood and passed the online training, maybe once every 6 months, I think, or if we have a client with specific needs that we haven't addressed, it's something sort of new to the organisation, we would address that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just thinking about like when you do your sort of first aid training and you have to renew it every 3 years to stay up to date if the any of our policies or procedures are changing. But I suppose we would do that as it were to occur if anything were to change in the organisation.
Yeah, exactly right.
And if we, it's important that obviously our staff members know to stay up to date on their client notes and any changes in behaviour and things like that with our clients as well.
Yeah.
So we'll just sort of, I think if we do things as they need to happen, but refresher courses every 6 or 12 months could be of value as well, potentially.
We could implement staff days or all staff days that like have a brief learning component to the Christmas breakup at the very beginning. Obviously would be lighthearted, that type of thing, once every 12 months.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I tend to agree. I think ongoing training is a must, especially in the industry that we are in. Obviously, the onboarding needs to be quite in depth. And then once you're a part of the company, I agree, we need to have some sort of refresher every 6 months, and then maybe an in-person one, maybe once a year.
Yeah.
I like the I'm used to doing a lot of online, and I thought, well, because I've got really weird hours and I do a lot of weekend stuff, if I could just sit down and log in, then you'd know I'd done it. And I do that online, and then you'd get my results and I would get my certificate, could be updated in my folder, and the lady at HR went back over a couple of things with me. But I like the face-to-face too and the team building. I think it's good to know who everybody is, who I could go to as well. It's, there's over 1,000 staff here. It can get pretty big some days. So I just thought maybe an interactive one like we had to do for our NDIS orientation. I'd be happy to be part of that.
Yep, that sounds very sort of appropriate. Very good. Okay, is there any other feedback before we wind this up?
I don't have any other feedback other than thank you for calling this meeting. I think it was important to have to bring a few things to the table to discuss. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Right. So let me pause. So I'll start as Bella, just with my feedback. Look, Justin, I thought you ran a great meeting. I came in pretty anxious and you were very clear why we were here, what the meeting was going to be about. I felt like I was included in this as well. I know I've got a lot to learn, but I thought, yeah, that would be great to be part of this as well. I understand the importance of it. And I want to say thank you for making me feel welcome.
Thank you for your feedback.
Yeah, so Justin, I think you held the chair as the organizer of this meeting amazingly well. Everything that we discussed was on point. And you made us all feel welcome the whole time. So well done. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, look, I want to say thank you for hosting this meeting. It's really important that we discuss these kind of topics in the workplace. I think you did a great job making sure that everyone's voice was heard, asking if anyone had any questions or thoughts or opinions, and responding to those really well and making sure that everyone sort of got an outcome or an answer. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you again. Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Can I just get from you, Nick, how you thought you went?
I think generally I went pretty well. A few of the times I think my mouth was running while my brain was searching for information, but other than that, I think it went fairly well.
Okay, that's great. Good, excellent. So we'll move now into who would like to go next as Justin. You ready, Kirsten?
I can give it a shot. That's why I'm here. Sure.
Absolutely. Know that I've, we're used to working together. Micro skills are already in place. Think about the unit, think about the reason why you're here, and you're prepared. So would anyone like to change? Nick, would you like to be the in-house nurse now, Raymond? And
I'll be Raymond.
Katie,
Yep.
happy to stay as Monica, who's been there 18.5 years.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, great. And I'll stay in character as Bella, if you like. That might make that easier. So it's over to you now, Kirsten.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first meeting for the Safety and Respect team. I'm going to start by doing an acknowledgement of country, and then we're going to do a bit of an introduction about what this meeting is going to be all about and what this committee is going to be about. So I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the lands, elders past, present and emerging. So I might just introduce everyone in the room in case you don't know each other. I know we've all worked here for different amounts of time. So my name's Justin, and we have Raymond, who is a on-site nurse here. We've also got Bella, who's a youth worker, Just give us a wave, Bella. Yep. And we also have Monica, one of our senior counsellors. Monica, give us a wave. Wonderful. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us. So recently we've had an alleged case of physical abuse of a client by a staff member, which has led to us creating this team. So we're not going to be discussing that case today at all, but we're going to be talking about how we can build the safety and respect knowledge at First Access. Does anyone have any questions before we go further into the meeting?
Not so far.
Look, I'm just a little bit worried I'm in trouble, Justin. I don't know why I'm here. I'm pretty new. I know I had something to do with the other stuff and I've been told not to talk about it, but I don't know whether I'm supposed to say anything here or why I'm here at this meeting. You're all managers and important.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up, Bella. I'm sorry that you feel that way. You're definitely not in trouble. This is not a disciplinary meeting. The reason you're here is because we want a variety of people in the room. We want people who have been here for a short time, been here for a long time, people who work in different departments as well, so that we can get the idea across every single different department and all different workers in here at First Access. So hopefully that clears it up. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I didn't know, but yeah, thank you. I feel better.
Yeah, good, wonderful. I'm glad to hear. So we're going to start by talking about some of our policies. So we have, as you all know, the HS2 policy, which is our incident, injury, trauma, and illness policy and procedure. So hopefully we're all across that, but we're just going to touch base on some of the staff requirements from that policy. So we're all required to report any concerns relating to any of our clients in relation to trauma. It could be something as simple as a change in behaviour or a very extreme crisis situation. So we'd be expected to report anything that came up with our clients in that scenario. We'd also be expected to provide some adequate supports and referrals if we had to do so, and manage that case for our clients and our staff members as well. It's really important that we're across these kind of policies and procedures. So what we've been speaking about with the senior management team is actually changing or adapting our onboarding policies and how we do the onboarding for our staff members. Does anyone have, before we go into what we've currently got, does anyone have any thoughts on when they were onboarded and what sort of things they did and how we could change that? I know for some of you it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago for me. And obviously the onboarding has changed an awful lot since I did it. When I did it, it was literally a little folder that you read through, and then you just had to sign a piece of paper at the end.
Yeah.
Currently, I think the onboarding needs to be a lot more in-depth.
Yep.
Going into all of these policies and procedures and how to report and when to report and all the processes. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's a lot different now than what it was.
Yeah, at the time that you started, did you think that was enough, or were you sort of in a bit of a shock, like, oh, you know?
I was kind of a little bit overwhelmed because it was all like printed out like this, you know, in a folder. You just got given the big folder and went, can you read through this? And then just sign this form to say that you've read it. It was a lot of reading. It was very intense.
Okay.
Yeah, I think these days it's more interactive than what it was back when I came on board. It was a long time ago.
Raymond, do you remember when you were onboarded?
Yeah, so when I was onboarded, it wasn't as in-depth as the novel that you had to read and signed down to. So yeah, I was fairly happy with the process that I was involved in. But obviously things can always be improved. So
Yeah, great. And I think, Bella, you'd be our most recent staff member in the room. So how do you feel about your onboarding?
Well, I have to admit that I did rush through that. I spoke to Raymond because he did the incident report for the client. But look, I've never been in a job like this before. And I signed everything that HR told me to, but I didn't read every single thing. And I wasn't sure about workplace health and safety. I thought it was about wet floors and loose railings and hazards on steps. I didn't really think about abuse. This is a bit different to any other work I've done. I only ever worked in hospitality before I became a youth worker. So, and I'm still studying, so I'm not finished my studies. And I think I need to know a little bit more about this side of things as well. But yeah, I did rush it. I do
Yeah.
realise that when I sign it, I'm saying that I sign it and I understand it. That's been explained to me a bit more also by Monica, who's been here a long time. So they're going to do a little bit more mentoring with me. But I think everybody needs it. I know what my experience was like.
Yeah. So do we think in the room it would be worth adding in some refresher training for all staff members, not just our new staff members, considering the onboarding process was so different for everybody in the room, even myself included. It depends when you started with the organisation, but I feel like there's potentially a few things that have been missed over the years. So how do we feel about implementing some refresher training to start with for all current staff before, and then we make some adjustments to our onboarding for new staff?
I think it's a good idea. Refresher, sort of, dust off the knowledge that you've got in your head and just make sure that it's fresh, because it sort of needs to be front of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
I think
agree. We definitely do need to do refreshers for all staff members. Yeah, because obviously to keep everyone up to date with all the policies and procedures and have everything outlined again for you. I feel that it's really important going forward. We all need to be able to do this training again.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so we'll implement that to start with. We're going to engage a third party to do some refresher training courses that we can send out to all current staff. Now, I just had a thought that I actually skipped an entire thing. I actually forgot to discuss what the purpose of our team is, the safety and respect team. So I'm going to go back to that. I do apologise. So basically, based on the incident that has occurred, I was asked to create this team. And as I said to Bella, it's a variety of people in different departments who have been here for different periods of time, so that we can get a lot of mixed ideas in the room and thoughts from everyone's different experience. What we're aiming to do here is create change in the workplace and encourage our staff members to be proactive in relation to work health and safety, incident reporting and incident management as well, and actually breaking some of that stigma around work health and safety. And, some people have these thoughts that it's a bit of a boring topic and it's not fun, but we can actually make it doesn't need to be fun, but engaging, and actually make people realize that it's a really important aspect of the organization, and that we need to talk about it a lot more. I think I'm a firm believer of, you may have heard the saying, like, what you walk past is what you accept, and we need to implement that in the workplace, that it's not okay to walk past something that is wrong. It's not okay to walk past abuse and ignore it. So if you walk past that, you're accepting it. So that's why we really need to build those conversations with our staff, and that's what the purpose of this team is going to be. So we can go back to all of our departments and have some very proactive conversations about work health and safety with our teams. Does anyone have any questions about the team from what I've just said?
Sounds all up to speed. Very, very well thought out.
Yeah. So how often will we get together, Justin?
So initially, we're going to meet whilst we've had this incident and everything's a little bit raw at the moment. We're going to meet fortnightly, and then after about 3 months, we're going to push that out to monthly meeting. And then in the future, it may be pushed out to every second month, depending on the need for that meeting. But initially, we're going to start every fortnight. I know you may get sick of hearing from me, but we really want to build up the conversation in our workplace and ramp that up.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So we spoke about some changes we're going to implement already, changes to onboarding, refresher training, and also building those conversations within our teams. Does anyone have any further questions today?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think so. I think what we've been discussing so far is great. I do wonder though whether going forward, whether it is worth having like a mentoring program.
Oh yeah.
For new staff members. So
that's a good
when
idea.
they do their onboarding, so their training and stuff, and they shadow someone for a few shifts, I think it should be a little bit more than just shadowing them for a few shifts. I think that senior staff member that they are working with should act more as a mentor for them. So that if they do have any questions or queries or concerns, they can run it by their mentor, and being an experienced staff member, then that mentor could go, yes, you need to report that, or I would recommend that you do X, Y, Z.
That'd be great. I know you spoke to me and that made a big difference and helped me understand, but I agree. Like this didn't, I've been here 7 weeks and that's when it happened. So, you know, like even if I had read it, I'm not sure that's would have stuck with me, what it really meant as a mentor. Someone I could go to. I don't need them to be with me every minute of the day, but if I had a doubt, I could just go to someone. What if, or can I run something past you?
Yeah, that's a really great idea, Monica, and I appreciate you bringing it up. So what I'm going to do, once I type up these meeting minutes, I'm going to send it off to senior management and they will get to read through that. But I'm also going to send through, if you're happy for me to draft a bit of a proposal, I'll propose the mentoring program to our management team. So if you're happy for me to do that, I'll run it by you before I submit it to them. And that'll include sort of what that mentoring program looks like broken down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be important for the business or the company going forward so that we can prevent these kinds of incidences.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, any more questions before we conclude our meeting for today?
No, I think that's good. I think we can move over to the feedback now. So
great.
I'll start. Thank you so much, Justin. It's Bella. I appreciate being able to be asked about it. And I did feel safe and respected in this meeting. I know that some of the things that we're speaking about today are about me, but I'm really hopeful that First Access is going to help us onboard a little better and put some of that information up on our apps when we're out in the field. And I think it's not just, you know, me, I think it's any new staff member. So yeah, that was good. I liked how you were asking me what I thought would be helpful.
Yeah,
great.
look,
Thank you for that feedback. Sorry.
That's all right. Justin, I think you ran that meeting beautifully. You allowed everybody to have a voice, and you took everyone's contributions and queries or concerns, and the fact that you're actually going to go back to management and express those queries and concerns with them I think it was amazing. Thank you very much for the meeting.
Great. Thank you, Monica, for the feedback.
I was impressed with how you asked for feedback from people and listened to what they wanted to say. So yeah, I'm very impressed. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Raymond. And thanks everyone for taking the time today to meet. I appreciate it.
Thank
Great.
you.
Not a problem. Thank you.
And Kirsten, how do you feel you went as Justin?
I think pretty good. I've run a few of these meetings before. I think it's just important that everyone has their voice heard and everyone knows. So I sort of missed like the mark at the start, explaining what the team's purpose was, but I think that's important to know why you're in the room. Like it's not just a meeting for the sake of having a meeting.
Yeah.
So I tried to come back to that.
Yeah, I think that was good how you circle back to it. I mean, I heard straight away, this is why we're here. And then you made it about the people in the room. And I thought, even though you may have thought you could have started like that, I think, you know, having had the benefit of Nick running his meeting and then we're starting to form as a team and we go through those stages of like storming and then forming, then norming, then performing. And I think the benefit of Nick's and then yours, and then circling back to that creates a great space for Katie now to step in where we're getting used to each other as well. So we're doing a role play, but we're also communicating with each other as peers in our studies and that as well. So well done, Kirsten.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great. All right, so Katie, are you comfortable and ready to go in? And Kirsten, are you okay to be Monica, the senior counsellor, and Nick, you stay as the Raymond, the in-house nurse?
Yep.
And I'll
Vicky?
throw in Bella. Yeah, Nick, do you have to go? Are you on a tight schedule?
Sorry, yeah, I've got kids' sports to run around.
Absolutely.
So I apologise for disappearing.
No, not a problem. The minutes will reflect that Raymond left. He was called away on an urgent matter. And that's fine, Nick. That's exactly how a meeting can go sometimes. So thank you. We've got this. And your contribution is definitely fine. I will send you the evidence for task 3.
Okay. Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for your help.
Thank you, Nick. Likewise.
Thanks so much.
Have fun, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. So I think just a little bit of pivoting there too is perfectly okay for this unit. It's a communication one. We're all people. We're busy. You guys are giving up your Saturday to come in here and do this. It's assessor-led. So, and there's a bit of backwards and forwards communication to make it happen as well, isn't there? Like the
there is.
for the meeting, the communication before a meeting, what we cover during the meeting, and then post-meeting. All of that goes towards your evidence to be competent. So it's great. Don't think I only see it as just that moment in time for the meeting. It's all the other stuff behind the scenes. I know, Katie, you took the lead a fair bit with coordinating everybody, and that helps strengthen my feedback. So well done. So let's hear Katie's meeting. Let's go through that process. I'm curious also, Katie, if there's anything that you want to bring through from the others or add something different. It's very hard to do the same role play and follow other people as well. But let's do a summary at the end of yours too.
Okay.
Okay, great.
All right, beautiful.
Over to you.
All right. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for attending this meeting. Obviously, the meeting has been called because of an underlying issue that has occurred between a staff member and a client. But before I get into that, I'm going to just do the acknowledgement to country. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the country throughout Australia and acknowledge their continuing connection to land, waters, and community. We pay our respects to the people and the culture and their elders past and present. Now, this meeting is to set up a safety and respect team. In that safety and respect team, it's myself, Justin, Raymond, who has actually had to step out of the meeting because he's got a bit of an incident happening with a client. They need him now, so he stepped out. We've also got Monica and Bella. All right, so today's meeting, we're just going to run through a few ideas on how we can strengthen the safety, well, the now safety and respect team. So as you're all aware, when you come on board, you do some training. We have the HS2 form to adhere to the injury and trauma surrounding clients, staff, everyone really. So today, what I want is your input to help us develop a more in-depth training system. We're going to run through some ideas. I want to hear what you have to say because this whole process around how and when to report needs to come from everybody. So we don't want just management coming up with these ideas. We need people at all levels to put in their contribution because not everybody is on the ground day to day, seeing these things happen, dealing with clients. Some are running the company. And I feel that it's very important for everybody to have a voice. So what we're going to go through is a few different things. But first off, I want to ask Bella how she felt when she came on board, because I know she's only been here 6 or 7 weeks. Is that right, Bella?
Yeah.
Yep.
It is. Sorry, one of my clients just texted me on my phone. I should have put my phone down when I came into the meeting. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, you can respond to them. That's fine.
Yeah, they're just
because we are here for the clients.
Thank you. I know now that I've got to send it up to the team leader. So all right, good.
You do that and I'll have a chat with Monica.
Oh, would you? Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. You do that and I'll have a chat with Monica and see what some of her ideas might be. So, Monica, you've been here quite a while. Being a senior staff member, how do you feel that we could better facilitate or improve the training of our new staff and current staff?
Yeah, so I think it's important to do continued kind of refresher trainings for all current staff because obviously onboarding platforms change throughout the years, and I've been here for I think 18 years now, and when I started it was all paperback, and we had this massive book that we were expected to read it, but back then I probably read a couple pages or a couple sentences and then just signed off, and that's not the way of doing things now. A lot of education providers have turned away from books. It's actually all going online and virtually and things like that. So I think it's important that we stay up to date with the times, interactive methods, engaging videos. How do we get the message across to our new staff members? So I think with onboarding in the future, I think we need to change and adapt how we do that. Yes, sorry. We need to know our policies, but how can we make it actually interactive instead of just slapping 50 policies in front of our new staff members? And also with current staff members, actually refreshing them on a frequent basis, like I said, It's really important that, because I've been here 18 years and I probably do, I don't know, one training day a year or every couple of years. Sometimes I
Yeah,
don't
it's
even
not
do
enough, is it?
anything. No, it doesn't feel like enough. It's like sometimes we forget things,
Yeah,
and or when you're actually in a crisis situation, trying to remember how to do things. If it's not refreshed in your head frequently, you're going to forget. You're going to go into like a freeze mode. You're not going to know
yeah,
what to do. So yeah,
yeah,
I think refresher trainings and it changes to onboarding systems to make them engaging and interactive.
yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I was thinking about was whether or not we have like maybe every 3 to 5 months, we get sent, let's say, 7 case studies um, on the online portal that we have to go through, read through, and then answer those questions of how you would respond to those sort of incidences. Do you think, and this is for you as well, Bella, do you think that'd be too much having to complete, 5 to 7 case studies every 3 months in different scenarios?
No, I'd love that. And I love role plays too. So I reckon our training could be, we could act them out, like not just read about them and go through them, to actually go through each step along the way. And we could role play that. And I love role plays. So yeah,
I love that. Thank you
let's
so
do
much.
training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think that's really important. And if um, there's a vast variety of scenarios in there, because you never know what you're going to come across in your day to day in our job. So I think that's
Yeah,
really important,
absolutely.
exposing different people to any kind of scenario that they might face, because it might not be their own client, it might be just a client in the lobby or something. But knowing how to handle that scenario is really important.
Yep, yep. Okay, so I've got so Bella's recommended some role playing in training, and then the case studies. Now, I want to ask you a question, Bella. Do you think, now I know that Monica's been discussing a few things with you and helping you through this whole situation. Do you think that having a mentor at the business, at the company, would help new people, new staff members?
Yeah,
Do you think it would be
I love
beneficial?
that. Yeah, like I was just lucky that after I did the form with Raymond and he showed me how, and then Dennis came and spoke to me because the person was his client that he case manages, um and then Monica saw that I was upset, so she sort of spoke to me in the staff room, and that really helped a lot. But I don't think it's just youth workers either. I don't think it's just because I'm young. I think anyone might feel a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of a mentor. It made a lot of difference for me. And I appreciate that everyone's been very kind, but I want to know how to do this well. I don't want people to be having to treat me like I'm a trainee. I've studied hard to be a youth worker, and I really want I want the company to trust me and rely on me, and I want the clients to feel safe with me if they tell me something. I just want to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? And that's why you're part of the safety and respect team, because we want your opinion. We want you to have your input. You're a new staff member, so you've got fresh eyes, and we want to get your opinion on things as well. That's why we've got so many people
Thank you.
on this team from various parts of the company, because we want
Yeah, I
to
get
hear
it now.
everyone's voices.
Yeah, I thought I was totally in trouble, but
No, not at
it's
all.
yeah, yeah. So, First Access is pretty good like that. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, not at all. You're not in trouble. It's all about how we're going to implement these things going forward.
Right.
All right. Are there any other questions or anything else that you would like to discuss in today's meeting?
Oh, think I'm right. When would we be doing these meetings, do you reckon?
Yeah, look, I would like to have a safety and respect team meeting. Ideally, it'd be once a fortnight, but with everyone being so busy and like yourself, Bella, your roster is all over the place.
Mm.
Look, yeah, ideally to be once a fortnight. We will still
I can
have.
do that.
You can do that?
Yeah, I definitely can do that.
Okay, so that'd be perfect then, because I know, would you be willing to do it even if you were at home? So would you Zoom into our meeting?
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
okay?
I could do that. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to Raymond, he said that any training and that we put that down in our rosters, but he was going to find out. I know he couldn't make it to the meeting today, but
Yep.
I was just wondering, is that something that we could make clear in this committee? If we're
Absolutely.
doing training, that it's paid training. If
Yep.
I'm coming to the meeting, that it's paid, it's on first access time. I don't mind, but I thought it was a little bit weird that we had to do our onboarding and all those modules
During
before
your own time.
in
Yeah.
our own time before we started. I thought
Yeah.
that was kind of a bit odd. I've never had that. I've always come in and had a buddy system, but that's McDonald's, so
Yeah.
it's a different kind of a thing, and it's not humans, it's burgers. So
Yeah.
I get it, but safety was a big thing for us. Like we work with heat and water and fast and noise, and so we still took workplace health and safety very
Very
seriously,
seriously.
but
Yeah.
this is different. It's
Yeah.
maybe not as clear. I think you've got to have a bit of other knowledge that might not be written anywhere, and I think that's where I got stuck. It's like I heard it. I tried to be positive and supportive of my colleague, but I didn't realize that actually at that time that was an incident to report.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what this training is going to be, because all staff are going to be involved in it. And it's going to be a lot more in depth than what your onboarding obviously was. So obviously we have, we have missed a step there,
Yeah.
as a company, and it's because of your feedback that we're then able to go forward and fix those, gaps that are missing, so that for yourself and anyone else that is coming in, to First Access will have the appropriate training, so that they feel like they could step into any situation in the job and they'll know how to handle it.
Yeah,
They'll know all the
that'd feel-
processes, all the
yeah,
protocols. Yeah.
right.
So thank you so much for that, Bella.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
will put that down, about the paid training, and if we do have to have a Zoom meeting, that you're paid for that as well.
Yeah. Unless that isn't what everybody is doing, but I don't think I know enough about that either. And when we were in my last job, we used to they used to keep a record about training that we did, like any professional development, and we went to things and we got badges of we did
Yep.
this. I don't expect that here, but I do think it would be good to be able to go to my own staff portal and go, oh, I've done all of this, and maybe even if there's a calendar for the whole year, I know what's coming up, what I've got to get done, and then I just tackle that as part of it as well.
Yeah, so absolutely. And that's a great idea. So currently First Access are going through and implementing a staff portal. So you have your own staff portal. And so Bella, you would log into your portal and it'd say you need to do your health and safety training, or you need to do your HS2, or your first aid training, those sorts of things. Just so that you know, what you have that you still need to complete. Even if you have completed them, if there is anything that you're not sure about, you can always go back in and reread that training
Okay.
once you've already been given the certificate for it. So that training's not going to get locked on you.
Yeah.
You'll always have access to that in your portal.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All right. Monica, do you have anything else that you'd like to address?
No, not today. I just think it's really good in all my years of being at First Access to see some positive change in the safety and respect side of things. So thank you for putting together this team and running this meeting today.
Well, it wouldn't have been able to happen without you guys. We wouldn't have a safety and respect team without having everybody that is on it. So thank you all very much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to management. I've got a meeting with them later on this afternoon to discuss what we've been through in our meeting, all the queries, concerns, and what the staff want in regards to training. So we're going to discuss all of that. I will send out an email within the next probably 24 hours. And then we will address all of those at our next meeting, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. We needed to hear all of your ideas, and we've got a lot down. I think we've addressed a lot today, so thank you very much.
Well, I'll give feedback. As Bella, I want to say thanks for making me feel welcome and that I did have something to offer. I've got a better understanding now, and I look forward to some of those ideas happening. And also that actually, I'm glad that I felt comfortable enough to raise about getting paid. Like, I want to be at the meetings, but like you could see in the meeting, I was busy dealing with clients, you know, like, so the workload is pretty high.
It is high.
Us, you know, and like I'll go somewhere and I'll travel and they're not there, or they're not ready to have me come in, and then I've got to sit in the car, or I might have downtime between one client and then I've got to travel for another, and I don't get paid for that. I get paid for the travel, but if there's an hour or a client isn't there, yeah, like then the work backs up on me. And so, you know, I think that's part of the workplace health and safety conversation as well.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel as if you ran such a good meeting that it'll be relevant for more than just the one thing that maybe brought us here. Maybe it's going to help us have a look at everything.
Yeah, I think it will, Bella. And in our next meeting, I want to bring in 2 of our senior management.
Okay.
Just so that we can have that discussion about, and our health and safety officer, actually, we'll bring them in as well, so that we can have that discussion with them.
Yeah.
And clarify a few things.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Justin.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Great. Well, I'll give some feedback on the meeting, if I may. I think it was a great meeting. I think you made everyone in the meeting feel welcome and included, and clarified the roles and responsibilities, why we were in the room, what you wanted from us. You clearly outlined what's next, like what are we doing with this information, that you're going to take it to management. We're not just having a meeting and getting ignored. So thank you for that, and it was a great meeting.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. I will send out the minutes from today's meeting, as I said, within the next 24 hours. And obviously, being a Thursday, I will notify you guys on Monday as to when our next meeting will be.
Great.
Okay, that'd be
Thank you.
great. Yeah,
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for attending. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah. Terrific. And Katie, how do you feel you went?
Oh, that was stressful. No, okay, I think it's just trying to remember everything. Yeah, but I think I did okay.
Yeah, I think the remember everything gets in the way of connection.
It does.
Even enjoying that space. There's quite a gap between a role play and reality. I completely understand. I thought you ran a great meeting. I thought the team formed nicely. You know, Nick had to pop out, Dennis couldn't make it. And I think you all pivoted really well, which, yes, you had to, but you did it so smoothly, both of you in that space. And then, of course, Nick, and I think that's part of it, isn't it? It's like, no, just be fully present when you turn up for a client and fully present when we turn up for work. And like, it doesn't have to be textbook everything. It can just be, look, overall, I think the most important thing why we're here. And was that done? And it definitely was today. So I thought 3 different people, 3 different meetings. I got something different out of each of those. What about you guys?
Yeah, look, I really enjoyed it. And thank you so much for being the best Bella that you possibly could be. You made it so much easier.
You like her on a phone?
Yeah.
And her McDonald's.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
really,
I thought it was good.
yeah.
I
That's
thought it was
great.
good today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like our group role plays. I think sometimes people get a bit too nervous, even though I see that as you want to do well. I see stress as this is important to me. It doesn't always have to be bad stress. It's like, oh, that lights, camera, action thing. But when you come in and do a real-time one and you've got an assessor there, it's meant to actually be skills-based or a bit of a masterclass coaching session. It's not meant to be a gotcha moment and pressure. And I would hate to think that the translation from how I run a class to how I run this would be lost in that as well. And maybe I'm not covering that enough, but I'll take your feedback as well on this, as I always do. So yeah, like, tell me how you found this assessor-led role play and any of the others that you've got coming up.
Well, so this is the first assessor-led role play
Okay.
I've done that hasn't been in class.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah. So I was actually more nervous about this one than
Okay.
the ones in class. I don't know why,
Okay, you're not sure. Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay. And Kirsten?
I actually think I'm coming to the end of hold on, sorry. I actually think I'm coming sort of to the back end of my course, and I think it might also be my first assessor led. I think I've just been putting those ones off.
Okay.
But I actually quite enjoyed it, and I quite enjoyed the mix between like doing the role play, but also getting some coaching and having those discussions as well. I thought it was really positive. Yeah, it was a good experience. And I've got a couple
Good.
more to do with you, Vicky, but
Great. Yeah, well, listen,
yeah.
I think if you've been working together, it's good to stay in that space.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and we improvise. If, say, it's meant to have X number of people, I'll be in that space with you as well. And coming to classes gives me an opportunity to progressively assess you. It's often
Yeah.
done informally as well. I know different styles. What kind of style are you going to be as a worker? And both of you contribute. You always turn up for classes. But if people can't turn up for classes, that you guys have got those live classes being recorded, and that goes out to others. So I really value how you are in classes. It matters. Like, you're going there to learn, how do I get through the assessments? How does this get used even in the sector? And as sector workers, I know that you bring something into that space as well. But you are part of a very big class, and people can get or feel lost in a group like that. Whereas these ones, these ones are meant to help you connect with your studies more as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So I love doing these assessor-led role plays, by the way. I mean, yes, you're in my class, but I get to meet people who aren't in my classes as well. Some of the other hater learners, like with Nick, you know, like because we run 10 classes every week and we've got different trainers in every qualification. So it gives me a great opportunity. This is a core unit, the CHCCOM002. And some people even have a different person. It's not Justin, but the skills we assess on, they're exactly the same. The observation checklist that I use is exactly the same. So for this one, you've got 4 individual feedback sheets. So think about that. Put the nurse's hat on, hypothetically, the case manager's hat. And if in your minutes, like you take your recording, which I'm going to send you, that's where you get your minutes from. With your agenda, just underneath your agenda, you just do your stepping off points, bullet points like discussion held, action to be taken, and when. And it's not like you've got to reinvent anything. You've got your pre-filled agenda, and then what is your agenda going to look like the next one, and you fill that one in. It's like, so what did I get from that meeting, and what do I think we'll do in our next one? Because this paper trail, minutes are a legal document. Make sure that you put in who attended, what time your meeting started, and what time it ended. If there were any apologies, it's as good as an alibi for somebody, documented minutes, because they can be subpoenaed for court. And it may form part of an ongoing investigation for the organisation. So we always look at the 3 lenses: your experience as a worker, the client's experience with the organisation, and the organisation's experience and their reputation. So always think of the 3 shareholders. We talk about stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people we use outside of our service. But shareholders are our internal. Who's invested in this? Staff, clients, and the organisation as well. So this incident that we cover in this unit could make or break an organisation and ruin their reputation if they felt that it wasn't managed safely and respectfully. So there's other layers as well. There's messaging now that, we talk about management, but how are we going to show and make the building look different for family members that come in who might have heard it or might have made it in social media? We have to manage all of those things. When we're a worker, we have to be part of the solution. And I love that in this scenario, we brought some sensitive people, because in task 2, Bella didn't act. And in task 2, Monica said, I'll just leave it there for a week and we'll get back to it, which are kind of big no-nos, but no one went there, and the meeting we cannot. So that was great. But I heard you mention the policy and which form, and all of those things I expect will come as we have meeting after meeting after meeting. I thought everyone's meeting would be a great stepping off point for forming this new committee. Every one of you brought something there. I'd turn up at each of your meetings next time, for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. So well done, and thank you for giving up your time.
Great.
Thank you for giving up your time.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you.
About to send out your recording so that you can get all of the information inside the recording. And then I'm also going to send your evidence for your skills, which is conducting the meeting. You were all very prepared and brought something to that. The recording doesn't need to be submitted. However, my evidence document definitely does. And this is for task 3. I'll jump in and we'll do task 4. It's not nothing either, by the way. It's about de-escalating a situation, bringing in an interpreter, not getting into it with the mother's son, but it's a complaint. And so we need to, again, treat that just the same as what we did treat this. What's the scope of our role for the next one, for task 4, is about de-escalate, get them to reach an agreement to enter into mediation. That's it. We don't have an opinion, but we acknowledge, we believe, we're respectful, we're empathetic, we're compassionate, but we also are there to represent the organisation and try and use our communication skills so that people feel heard. And it's a lovely spin-off from task 2. Task 3 into task 4. And that's why I like to see people do task 1, then 2, then 3. And if there's a 4, do it. That's the layer upon layer of knowledge. That's what I love about this one. So, yeah. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you at class.
Yeah,
you
thank
too.
you, Vicky. You too.
Thank you.
See you
Thanks.
Tuesday.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, bye.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to wrap up our role plays. We've had 3 learners jump in, and this is the end of their recording, which of course I'm going to be sending out as their evidence. I was the real-time assessor. So for an assessor-led role play, there's a bit of preparation and planning. The unit that we did is introduced by the learners who did their live assessment. They booked that ahead of time. They did their preparation and planning. We discussed some feedback that they're going to use as part of their evidence, and you will have an assessor there to help you with CHCCOM002. So if you've yet to do a role play or an assessor-led role play, this gives you a resource as well, and everyone gave consent to be able to send this out. So I want to say thank you to Kirsten and Katie and Nick for today, who are all HADA learners. So just briefly, the tips that you need to have coming into an assessor-led role play, which was all demonstrated and they all passed. But the tips that this group had and that they applied was they practiced their active listening. They let silence form part of the conversation, which is also communicating. They used professional sector appropriate language. They thought like a worker and responded with humanity. And then they anchored each role play in compassion, connection, and collaboration. This unit, particularly being the communication one, was demonstrated very effectively and equivalent to what we would see in the sector. And then reflected afterwards, you know, what went well and what would you refine. That's your self-reflection space. In this unit, though, we did a little bit of that. So just wanted to share that with you. And we'll be sending this out as a resource that others will be able to use. So this will be the skills demonstration. And then, of course, I'll do an overview for everybody. But for this purpose of this particular one, this is the evidence that our 3 learners are going to be submitting along with their supporting documents for this unit, CHCCOM002, Task 3.